Good morning. It's audible? Good morning.
Good morning.
So, okay, today we'll start with the basic aerodynamics and theory of flight. Before going to that airfoil selection and wing geometry, let us understand what is airfoil and what is the theory beyond the airfoil, how the flow separation occurs, how the flow over the airfoil, each and everything we'll discuss in detail in this basic aerodynamic and theory of flight. After going towards the airfoil selection and wing geometry, it help clearly the concept of airfoil selection. Okay. So yeah, in this, the outline of this is introduction, the atmosphere, Newton's law of motion, Bernoulli's principle, uh, airfoil, parts of an airplane, the four forces of flight, three axes of movement, stability. These are all things will be included in this presentation. We can look here. It is unnecessary that a mechanic be totally versed on aerodynamics and theory of flight. See, aerodynamics is very important whenever the aircraft is flying in the air. The forces which are acting on the flight, we have to know about it, what all the effects will be acted upon the performance of the aircraft. It reflects on the performance of the aircraft. However, you must understand the relationship between the atmosphere and the aircraft, because aircraft is flying in the atmosphere. So therefore, the forces which are acting on its flight, in order to make the intelligent decisions affecting the flight safety of both airplanes as well as helicopters. Helicopters are called as a hovering crafts, we'll call, where we have the rotors on the top. And aerodynamics, what is this aerodynamics means? Aerodynamics is a study of objects in motion through the air and the forces that produces or change such motion. So aerodynamics is nothing but a what? Study of objects in the motion through the air, which are the objects when it moves in the air, and the forces which are acting on that particular body, which makes it gives the change in motion. Such study is referred as aerodynamics. See, in the atmosphere we have, air is a mixture of gases. Already you know that, the composed principally of nitrogen and oxygen. An aircraft operates in the air, therefore the properties of air affect aircraft control and performance must be understood. Though the pressure, density, and humidity. You know that pressure is nothing but what? Force per area. So what happens in the atmospheric pressure? It varies with altitude. If you go higher altitude, where the pressure, the higher the object raises above the sea level, lower the pressure. If you're going at the higher altitude, what happens? Pressure drops. Pressure drops. The density, it varies directly with the pressure and inversely with the temperature. If temperature is increasing, density will decrease. So it means that it varies with pressure and inversely with temperature. It is directly proportional to the, if the pressure is increasing, density is increasing. If the pressure is increasing, temperature decreases. With the same horsepower, an aircraft can fly faster at higher altitude because of less resistance of air at there. So humid is the amount of water vapor in the air. It varies directly with the temperature. Humidity is nothing but a what? The vapor, water vapor in the air. It varies directly with the temperature. If temperature is more, the humidity also, it varies according to that. So Newton's laws of motion, already you know that according to the Newton's law of motion, it is a law of inertia, we'll call. Every body continues in its state or rest or uniform motion unless or until the external force is compelled on it. That is called law of inertia. The same way here, what happens when the rest will, when an object at rest remain at rest, or object in motion will continue in motion at the same speed and in the same direction until an outside force acts on it. For an aircraft or a taxi or a fly, a force must be applied to it. An aircraft, force should be applied to give a moment to the aircraft. It would remain at rest without an outside force. Once the aircraft is moving, another force must act on it to bring it to a stop. Means when it is moving, we have to apply the force which is making hindrance force, that is called a drag. We know that we have the four forces. We have thrust, drag, lift, and weight. Correct? This willingness of an object to remain the rest or to continue in motion is referred to as inertia. That is called what? Inertia. Newton's second law of motion. The second law of motion states that if an object moving with uniform speed is acted upon by an external force, the change of motion will directly proportional to the amount of force and inversely proportional to the mass of the object being moved. The motion will take place in the direction in which force acts. Simply stated, this means that object being pushed 10 pounds of force to travel faster than it. It means that F is equal to ma. It is called rate of change of momentum, we'll call it. It's called what? Rate of change of momentum. It's already you have studied in your in the lower classes, but we have to understand how these forces will be acted upon the aircraft. Newton's third law of motion, we can see that whenever you can see the action will be given, the thrust and towards the reaction means thrust and the drag, which is acting the equal and opposite reaction, which is making the body to be at rest or it be giving up. If it overcomes, if the thrust overcomes the drag, then aircraft starts to move. You can see the Bernoulli's principle. Yesterday when we were discussing about Bernoulli's principle, we told that what is this Bernoulli's principle? Bernoulli's principle is nothing but the pressure, kinetic and potential energy remains constant. Pressure, potential, energy, pressure energy, kinetic energy and the potential energy remains constant. You can see the pressure drop in Venturi tube. The Bernoulli's principle stated when a fluid flowing through a tube reaches a constriction or narrowing of the tube, the speed of the fluid passing through the constriction is increased at its pressure is decreased. So therefore pressure, kinetic and potential well remains constant. See here, this is the thing. So in our concept, when you're going to do the first, the concept of in aircraft design is selection of an airfoil. Please understand, it's very important to understand about the airfoil. You can see here, the airfoil is the shape of the wing or a blade. When you cross section of the wing, when I do it yesterday when I'm showing you, that is cross section of the wing, it is having a airfoil, correct? So therefore of a propeller blade or a turbine blades, all the turbine blades, we can look into it, we can wind turbines blade, you could have checked, so all they will give as a shape of a airfoil. It's very important. Airfoil plays a very important role. Airfoil is a structural and functional unit of an aircraft or any, you can see propeller blade, maybe rotor or it may be turbine, all it will be in the shape of a airfoil, correct? So therefore aircraft wings, we have a horizontal and vertical stabilizers are built with the airfoil shaped cross sections. See here, one thing we have to understand, do in the wings we are using, we have a symmetric airfoils as well as cambered airfoils, where the camber is 0 in symmetric airfoil. So therefore we will tell NACA 0012. If I tell the NACA is a National Council of Aeronautics, those it is a standard of NACA series. So what we will do there, 0012, 0 means is nothing but a camber thickness will be 0. It means that. So therefore most of the horizontal stabilizers and the vertical stabilizers, mainly we are using symmetric airfoils in the tail section. In the tail section, what type of airfoils you're using? Symmetric airfoils, not cambered airfoils, because in a symmetric airfoil what happens, at a 0 degree, there will be no lift. But in cambered airfoil, what happens, in a 0 degree, in a negative angle also we can see the lift. So that is the difference between the cambered as well as a symmetric. In the symmetric, what happens, we can see here this type of symmetric airfoil when I look into it. So at a 0 degree, see here, at a 0 degree angle of attack, still we will not experience a lift in the symmetric airfoil. In cambered airfoil, what happens, we will see the lift in the negative angle also. So therefore that is the difference between symmetric and asymmetric airfoils. The mean camber line is a line drawn midway between that. This is called mean camber line. It's called a mean camber line. This is called mean camber line. And the chord line is a straight line connecting to the leading edge and a trailing edge. See, this is called, you can see leading edge to a trailing edge. This is called what? This is called chord line, we'll call chord line, because when you are selecting the airfoil, we have to know the nomenclature. Yesterday also I told you, today make it still more clear. Please look into it. This is the relative wind and the deflection of the airfoil. That is called angle of attack. This is called what? Angle of attack. And this is, you can see, this is called a chord length. What is this chord length? Leading edge to a trailing edge. The distance between the leading edge and the trailing edge is called as chord length. It's called chord length. And you can see that upper camber and the lower camber. In the symmetric airfoil, this camber, what it is there, it will be 0. So therefore it is NACA 0012, we will call NACA 4312. These are all are like a different series. NACA 43 is 43% of it thickness. Like that it will go. We will discuss in detail in the selection of it. Just to understand how it is. We can see here airfoil as a Venturi tube. See here the kinetic energy means it obeys the, what is that? We have a Bernoulli principle, that is kinetic energy is the velocity, potential energy is the pressure, and velocity increases as the pressure decreases. You can see here this is the upper surface where the flow over the flow over the airfoil, somewhere it reaches the straight line, that is called, it reaches to a streamline, we'll call. These are all the streamlines which are passing over the airfoil. What is happening here? So we can look into here. So what is happening at the lower surface, we have a pressure will be higher compared with the higher in the upper surface. There is a pressure difference between the upper and lower surface. It gives the lift, it gives a lift force appears when it is the pressure difference between the upper and the lower surface. So yesterday we were discussing, we already know that the parts of the airplane we have, first is cockpit, next is fuselage, next is we have a wings, and we have a flaps. The flaps are called as a high lifting devices, and we have ailerons. There are control surfaces which helps in roll the aircraft, bank the aircraft, and empennage means, what are empennage? Both vertical and horizontal stabilizers together called as a empennage. And we have a stabilizers, we have a horizontal stabilizer as well as a vertical stabilizer. Rudder is a, we can see vertical stabilizer which helps in the yawing movement of the aircraft, the right left, the nose movement. And elevator is pitch up and pitch down. Engine, which gives a thrust power, propulsive power to the aircraft. Correct? These are the parts of an airplane. So yesterday we were discussing the things concept. We can look into it. We have engines, we have selection of the engines, and each and everything will study in the design process. And we have a wing which generates the lift. Horizontal stabilizer is a control pitch, vertical stabilizer is a control yaw, and rudder is side to side motion and change pitch up and down, and flaps change lift and drag, and aileron change the roll. And we have a spoilers which change the lift, drag, and the roll, and slats we have a changing the lift. So therefore these are all are the control surfaces which can the aircraft be controlled by these forces, that is pitch, roll, and yaw. These are the moments. And the four forces of the flight. So what are the four forces of flight? There's a lift, which is upward acting force, thrust is the forward acting force, drag is the backward acting force, and weight is the downward force due to the gravity. So therefore the force acting on an airplane in flight are lift, weight, thrust, and drag. These are the four forces in a steady level unaccelerated flight. Always when you are studying in a flight mechanics, stability and control, we always assume as aircraft is a rigid body. Aircraft is a rigid body, and the forces are acting on this aircraft. It is lift, that is weight, and thrust, and the drag. Lift, weight, thrust, drag. So therefore L is equal to W, T is equal to D. This is the equation for, it is the equation for steady level unaccelerated flight. So lift, what is this lift? Lift is nothing but what is the force created by the interaction between the wings and airflow. It always acts upwards. It considered to be the most important force, as without it an aircraft cannot ascend from the ground and maintain altitude. The equation of the lift is, so you can see L is equal to half rho V square S into CL. Half rho is nothing but a density of air, V is the velocity of the air, and S is surface area. So half rho V square S into CL. CL is a coefficient of lift. CL is what? Coefficient of lift. See, lift is an aerodynamic force. Lift must be exceed weight for flight. So therefore, yes, lift should be greater than the weight. Then only aircraft can be lifted for the ascent. It can fly. So therefore, generated by a motion of aircraft through air, created by the effects of airflow and past wing, aircraft lift acts through a single point called the center of pressure. So therefore, aircraft will act through a single point. Yesterday we are looking at what is the center of pressure. That is a lift which is acting at a single point. That is called center of pressure. That is the center of pressure which makes the body to lift. That is called all the forces which are acting at a single point that makes the body to lift. That is called center of pressure. Center of pressure we'll call center of pressure. So we can see here in the Newton's third law. So for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, correct? So therefore, we can see that flow is upward direction, flow is downward direction. Here, what is it is happening? The flow upper the airfoil, it moves faster, it moves faster, and the pressure will be less compared with a lower surface. So therefore, there is a pressure difference between the upper and the lower surface. It gives the lift, as well as here whenever it is airflow, it is flowing over the surface and it reaches the free stream one extent. That is called as, it is called boundary layer thickness, we'll call it. It's called what? Boundary layer thickness. And also you can see an engine pushed forward. So whenever engine, the exhaust gases which is coming out, it will, with a higher force, when it comes, it pushes the aircraft, gives a thrust motion to the aircraft. The flow pushed backward, flow pushed backward. And we can see here, in this we can see here, the force is equal to mass into acceleration. Force is mass into change in velocity with time. We can see the velocity of it. So therefore F is equal to ma. So velocity has both magnitude and direction, you know, that's a vector quantity. Lift is a force generated by turning a moving fluid. You can see this is the thing will, because always these airfoils will be checked in the wind tunnel test and changing the with a different angles. So here, lift or a wing section, we can see here we have a upper streamline. This is called an upper streamline. This is a lower streamline. So this is low pressure at high velocity, low pressure, high velocity, high pressure, low velocity. See here, this is the pressure will be higher and the velocity of the air will be, when it goes, like the velocity of the air is very slow, at the rate of velocity is slow, at that time the pressure will be higher, which gives the upward force. It makes the body to lift. That is called lift force. So for the lift equation, what it says, half rho v square s into cl, or here we can see a cl into half rho into a into v square. It means that cl is the coefficient of lift, rho is the density of air, a is the area, v is velocity. This is the lift equation. It's very important. We'll use in the further, the frequently we'll be using it. Please make the note of it. It is L is equal to half rho v square s into cl. This is the formula for lift. It is L is equal to half rho v square s into cl, where cl is the coefficient of lift, rho is the density, a is the area, and v is the velocity. And see here, this is the angle of attack. You can see this is a relative wind. With a change in a position of the airfoil, it gives rise to a change in position, it gives rise to a angle of attack. And this is a chord line, and we have a lift. The resultant force, it gives rise to lift to the aircraft, and we have a drag, and this is called a center of pressure, where the lift, drag, thrust, and the weight which are acting at a one point, that point is referred as a center of pressure. All the forces which are acting at a one point, which gives the aircraft to lift, which generates the lift force at the center of pressure. So that is the importance of center of pressure. Okay, so you can see here angle of attack and the lift force. See here, if the aircraft is, if you can see this is the airfoil, where the air is flowing, the air is moving upward, and you can see this, there is a separation flow. So when it is separates, with the separation of the flow, it forms what wake formations will call. Vortices formation occurs and wake formation occurs. Then you can see the boundary layer separation will call. This is called as what? Boundary layer separation. So until that it happens with the boundary layer separation, we can see that it reduces the lift. So therefore, this is called, see, at the higher angle of attack, the stall occurs. Why? Because what is stall? At the higher angle of attack, lift will be less compared with the drag. Drag will be higher, lift will be less, because when it reaches to the some extent of angle of attack, for example, if it reaches to 30 degree, alpha is equal to 30 degree, angle of attack always referred with a alpha. Understood? Alpha is equal to angle of attack. Okay, that is a symbolic representation. It is happening, what is happening, you can check 5 degree angle of attack. It is a 40 degree angle of attack. The differences between the 5 degree and the 40 degree, when you look, so here what is happening when the air is flowing over the airfoil, so there is a small separation will be there. We can see the wake formation. It's a small wake separations. We can see that it's a boundary layer separation occurs. But at the higher angle of attack, what is happening at the very initial stage itself, we can see the separation. It leads to the stall. The stall effect is nothing but a what? Always will use a stall angle. Stall angle is nothing but a what? At a higher angle of attack, at a higher angle of attack, lift reduces where the drag will be higher, so it breaks the, it will loses its control. Such an angle is referred as stall angle. So it's at a 40 degree angle of attack. At what is happening? So therefore, if the increase in the angle of attack, lift should increase. But when it reaches to the saturation level, so that level, that is the higher angle of attack, in which angle it loses its control, that is called stall angle. That is called stall angle. You can see the drag is increasing here much. You can see the drag is less. We can see this the drag is less, drag is more. At the higher angle of attack, it leads to the stall angle. It leads to the stall angle. And it is called angle of incidence. You can see this is called angle of incidence with the nose of the aircraft, and this is the chord line and aircraft longitudinal axis. This is called angle of incidence. Means angle of incidence is the angle between the chord line and the longitudinal axis of the aircraft. This is the longitudinal axis of the aircraft to the chord line. When the leading edge of the wing is higher than the trailing edge, the angle of incidence is said to be positive. Always remember, leading edge of the wing is higher than the trailing edge. If the leading edge is higher than the trailing edge, is positive. If it is vice versa, if leading edge is lower than the trailing edge of the wing. So this is called angle of incidence. So you can see the horizontal component. This is the lift and the weight. This is called a level flight. Yes, medium banked. See here, it is towards the left. So what is happening here? Total lift will be at this portion. It's a horizontal component. The resultant force it gives rise to a lift, and weight and resultant load is acting downward. And we can see steep banked. We can see steep banked, and we have a centrifugal force. What is the centrifugal force? Is nothing but a pseudo force which is acting on that body. Understood? That is called pseudo force. And we can see a total lift, and this is a vertical component, and this is a horizontal component. And lift and induced drag, you can see lift acts to the center of pressure and perpendicular to the relative wind. This creates induced drag. This creates what? Induced drag. So this is called induced drag. Means drag due to the lift is called as induced drag. Always remember, drag due to lift is called as induced drag. Don't, and parasite drag will get, that is called CD naught. We will call this is called as a CDI, or it is called as a lift of induced drag. Will always represents in the coefficient of it. So therefore CD naught is nothing but a zero lift drag. We'll call here, it is called induced drag. It is nothing but a what? CDI. CDI is nothing but a what? Induced drag. This drag generates due to the lift of the aircraft. When it lift occurs, then the drag will be produced. That drag is referred as a induced drag. And we can see shape of the airfoil. This again we'll learn in the airfoil selection. We can see here, shape of the airfoil determines the amount of turbulence of a skin friction or skin friction that will produce. The shape of the wing consequently affects the efficiency of the wing. So a wing may have various airfoil section from root to tip with a taper, twist, sweep back, and sweep forward. We'll learn in detail there. We can see a shape of this. They are called as a thin airfoils, and we have a thick airfoils. Correct? We have a different type of airfoil selections, and we can see according to that we are using for thin airfoils. Mainly we used for supersonic aircrafts. We can see for a thicker the airfoils, we have a symmetric airfoils. Mainly we used for subsonic aircrafts and civil aircrafts mainly. We can see that this is the portion where we can see curved portion. This is called cambered, we'll call. At a zero angle of attack also we have a lift producers. So according to that we have here, we have cut into two pieces, will become a symmetric, and where it is there is no zero camber, at a 0 degree we don't have any lift. So they are the different types of airfoils. And also when you look into a wing, so wing we have from the leading edge to a trailing edge, we can use a series of different airfoils, or we can use the same type of airfoils according to the which type of aircraft we are going to design. If you are going for supersonic, again we are looking for the such a type of airfoil selection will be done on the basis of it. So we will learn in detail in the airfoil selection in the next class. What we are, when we are studying about airfoil selection, at that time we'll understand clearly. So just at this right now, just understand what are the different type of airfoils and what are the shapes we can be seen. And you can see that wing shapes. This is called straight wing, and this is where swept back, and these are called a delta wing. You would have seen LCA Tejas. This is off. What is this? This is having a delta wing, and these are called a tapered wing. You can see here it is that a understood. It's from the root to tip. When you look into it, we have a change in the shape of it, and we can see this is called, we have a tapered wing, and also we have variable sweeps, and also correct. There's the different types of wings, sweep back and sweep forward, and it's a variable sweep. We have a different type of wing shapes we have, and variable wing geometry. And weight, the force acts on the aircraft due to the interaction between the aircraft body weight and Earth's gravity. Weight is a downward force. Weight is not constant. Why weight is not constant? As the aircraft start moving, so what happens? Fuel consumption will become, when the fuel consumption is occurring, what is happening? So the weight will reduce. So therefore, it varies with the passengers, cargo, and the fuel load. So therefore, remember, W naught is equal to W crew plus W payload plus W fuel plus W empty. It means that crew weight, the people who are on board of the aircraft, and next is the, what are the the cargo or the load what we are carrying, that is called useful payload we will call, and we have a empty weight as well as the fuel weight. Okay, decreases as fuel is consumed or payload offloaded, and direction is constant towards the earth center, acts through the single point called center of gravity. This is called a CG we will call. What is the CG? So whenever we start, so total force moment, when you look into it, so it is the, and the mass, each aircraft have its own weight, correct? Wing has its own weight, we have a landing gear as its own weight, the tail has its own weight, and from that point, the center of point, so we'll take up the distance and we will add up all the weights. We'll learn in the further classes how to find the CG of the aircraft. It's very important, the CG of the aircraft. During the takeoff also CG must be maintained, otherwise aircraft will get imbalance and the takeoff will not takes place. So therefore, it should have a CG plays a very important role. And in this thrust force, aircraft's engine and is required for forward motion. This is called forward acting, and force opposes the drag, and direction of thrust depends on design. Propulsion system produces thrust and equal to drag in straight constant speed flight. And we can see drag, an aerodynamic force. It is a hindering force to the thrust. Drag is considered as a negative force of all. Engineers try their best to reduce drag. Always, whenever you are going to design, we have to reduce the drag. So we have to minimize the drag, that performance will be higher. So therefore, acts reverse direction of the thrust or hinders forward motion we will call. And we have a two types of drags already. So already I discussed this. Parasite is nothing but a what? Zero lift drag we will call. Drag created by airplane shape, means outer skin shape, and result of air viscosity. And induced drag is nothing but a what? By product of lift generation. During the lift, what drag will produces, that is called induced drag. That is called, that a drag due to lift is called as a induced drag. And the parasite drag is nothing but a what? Zero lift drag. What is the equation of the drag? So we can see an equation of the drag is, so we have d is equal to, that is half rho v square a into d. This is a d. CD is what? CD is nothing but a coefficient of drag. Coefficient of a drag, rho is density, and a is area, v is velocity. So therefore, the lift is half rho v square s into cl. D is half rho v square s into CD. S and E we can interchange, that is surface area. This is mainly we're speaking about area. And so you can see an example of drag formation for a flat plate. If I keep, you can see the more, we don't have a much lift here because that body. So if I pick a sphere, we can see that how it is. So we can see the drag will be higher in this for a sphere, and with we can see the airfoil shape. If I keep with that, we can round leading edge. So therefore, sphere with a fairing, and we can see the we have a streamline body. We can have a flow. We can see that. Observe the flow separation here. The flow separation is higher at in the right moment itself. We can see there is a flow separation occurs at the initial stage itself. But here flow separation also we can see that the higher, and in this it will reduces, and when in the streamline it is lesser, and we can have a good lift. So therefore, we are always use the streamline bodies to reduce the drag formation. That is the reason why we used for the airfoil shape for our by aircraft purpose, whatever when you design purpose. Clear? So we can see that skin friction drag, because the drag due to the skin of the aircraft, that's called skin friction drag. You can see that if it is the surface is not smooth, if the surface is not smooth, turbulency will be higher. That is called skin friction drag, due to the friction due to the skin. So what happens when the air flows on that? What happens? There will be a friction between that, so it makes normal velocity, less velocity, and velocity. You can see that. And curve of upper camber, you can see if it is a curve of upper camber, there will be a friction and turbulency will be higher. If the smoother the surface, the flow will be laminar. So cross section of the upper camber surface highly magnified. You can look into it. From that you can understand that if a smoother the surface, where the laminar will be high. If it is the rough, the surface will be turbulency will be increases and skin friction drag will be higher. And we can see the three axes of the moment. The axis of yaw, it is called vertical axis. It is called roll, axis of roll is called longitudinal axis. And we can see this is called a lateral axis. It is called lateral axis. We have to know about it. So we have an axis roll and we have a vertical axis. This is called understood lateral axis. And we can see pitch on the lateral axis. We can see this is called lateral axis. You can see this is called lateral axis. We can see about it here. This is called the lateral axis, pitch around the lateral axis. And we can look into it, roll around the longitudinal axis. It's a rolling the right left of the aircraft. And we can see yaw, it is yaw around the vertical axis. Understood. We have we can see pitch up or pitch down. And we can see the stability. The aircraft stability is, the stability is nothing but what any stable means. Whenever we after the disturbance, the it should come to the initial position. That is called stability. An aircraft must have a sufficient stability to maintain a uniform flight path and recover from the various upsetting forces, also to achieve the best performance. We have two types of stabilities. One is static stability, another one is dynamic stability. Here static stability we will learn in the aircraft stability and control. In the flight mechanics, we have a longitudinal stability, we have a lateral stability, we have a directional stability, we have a dynamic stability. We will learn in detail there. Just understand the concept of stability right now. So what is this? Stability is nothing but a what? When you disturb the object, it should come back to the original position. That is called stability. The aircraft is stable or any object is stable after the disturbance if it is coming to the original position. So static stability is nothing but a what? Initial movement of an object after being disturbed. It may be positive stability and neutral stability and negative static stability. Dynamic stability we have again positive, neutral and negative. I will show you this. Here we can see here the positive, neutral and negative. You can see this is called positive stability. So once I disturb, it came back to the position. But a neutral, what is happening? It is at the same position. You can see here. And it is a negative stability. It will not be the position. You can see the reverse of it. It's applied force. It will be reverse of it. You can see this is called positive. It will go back and it will come back to that. And neutral, it will be there itself. And you can see it will not come back to its original position. That is called negative stability. Once it disturbed, it will not come back to the original position. That is called negative stability. Negative static stability. Here you can see neutral. There will be there. It will be in the same position. If I disturb also, it will come back to the same position. That is called positive. Which will come back to the original point is called positive. It will not have any change. That is called neutral, which is negative stability, which will not come back to its original position. And dynamic stability, we have two types of we have a short pitch mode, that is called, we have a shorter pitch mode oscillations, and phugoid motion is a larger pitch modes. I'll show you here. We can look into it. Positive static stability, when it's damped, we can see this is called, it will takes up around 30 seconds of a time. It will be a little larger. You can see here it will takes time. When the aircraft is disturbed, it will goes up and down and it will become a stable. This is called positive static stability. And we can see here the displacement, it can be larger. It will goes up and it will goes up and again it will come back to this upper. It is called neutral stability, neutral dynamic stability. And we can look into it. We have negative stability. It will not come back. It is increasing. You can see once it disturbed, it increasing. It is not returning back to its original position. We can see the graph. It is increasing. You can see larger the graph, it is going increasing and increasing and increasing, which is not coming back to the original position. That is called negative dynamic stability. And please understand the concept of dihedral wing. So dihedral wing, yesterday we are learning about, when I told you that is we have a wing configuration: low wing, mid wing and high wing, correct? So it is all depends upon the dihedral wing. What is this dihedral wing? Is nothing but a what? This is the wing portion. So which is with respect to the ground. That angle is referred as dihedral angle. Means the wing with respect to the ground. that angle is nothing but a what? Dihedral angle. That is called delta. Delta will represented by a delta. This is called, what is that? A dihedral angle is nothing but a what? This is the wing with respect to the ground. That is called dihedral angle. This is called larger wing area, more lift, smaller wing area, less lift. And we can see here we have a stability recovered by a sweep back. We have a sweep back angles. We have a quarter chord sweep. We have understood 75-degree sweep. We have a different type of sweep angles. We can see this is called a sweep and sweep back. And we have a sweep forward. We have a different types of wing configurations we will discuss in the coming discussions in the coming chapters. Okay, so here stability recovered by keel effect, and we have a stability recover. I'll also discuss this. It will discuss in the further classes. And you can see here the controls. Please, we have to know about it. The primary control surfaces, auxiliary group, and you have secondary group. So please, the primary groups are nothing but what? Ailerons, elevators, and rudders. If they ask you what are the control surface of the aircraft, we have a primary control surfaces and a secondary control surfaces. What are primary control surfaces? We have ailerons, which makes the aircraft roll, elevators pitch up and pitch down, rudder. So ailerons will be roll and elevators is pitch up, pitch down. Rudder is it having a yaw moment. And trim tab, these are makes up the stability of the aircraft, and spring tab and spoilers. And we have flap. These are all our secondary control surfaces. And auxiliary group, we have a wing flaps, and we have a spoilers, speed brakes, slats. These are all comes under auxiliary group. So therefore, to achieve the best performance, the aircraft must have the proper response to the moment of control. So therefore, these are all called as a flight control surfaces. The ailerons, elevators, rudder, trim tab, spring tab, wing flaps, spoilers, speed brakes, slats, leading edge flaps. These are all our flight control surfaces. And so these are all called as a flight control surfaces. And we have to understand the further. We can see the flight control surfaces, and we have a spoilers. We can see where the spoilers will be there, and these are called as a flaps. Flaps are nothing but a high lifting devices, where the ailerons. Always remember, at the root of this there will be a flap. At the, we can see at the tip of it, this is called as a wing tip. We'll call this is called as what? Wing tip. And also we'll put a winglets also will be there to reduce the induced drag. I will speak about it. These are all called as ailerons. Always ailerons will be at the outboard. You can see that it is called the ailerons will be at the wing tips, and you can see flaps at the inward portion, and we can see flaps will be at the inward, and spoiler will be at the upper the wing, and we have a rudder at the vertical, and trim tab. These are called the trim tabs, which makes the aircraft to stable. That's called stabilizers we'll call, and these are called ailerons. Ailerons for roll, flap for high lifting devices, spoilers, and we have a aileron. Clear? So therefore we can see that they're called as a plain, split flap, and we can have a Fowler flap and slotted flap. They are the different type of flaps. So I will tell you, just listen here. So yes, here if the air, if already we seen that when the air is moving on the surface of the airfoil, you can see they'll be moving downwards also. There we've seen that we have a high pressure and low velocity. We have here and a high velocity and a low pressure on the upper surface, correct? So therefore what is happening by giving this portion as a plane, this called as a flaps, what we'll do, we will increase the surface area. By increasing the surface area, we are increasing the boundary layer separation will be reduced. So when the boundary layer separation will not occur at the early stage, the lift will be higher. So by this concept, what we'll tell, that is called as a high lifting devices. So we are calling it as high lifting devices. Why it is high lifting devices? It delays the flow separation. These are called as spoilers, leading edge slats, and you can see, and we have a control and longitudinal axis. These are called as, we have a right aileron up, right wing down, left aileron down, left wing up. See, if I apply right aileron upward, it is right wing will go down, and left aileron down, if it goes right wing up. So if I apply the aileron up, so at the right aileron up, the right wing will go down and bang towards left. In the same way like that, left aileron down, left wing up. So it depends upon that which aileron we are down, it is the reverse of it, wing up. So therefore it is aileron up, wing down, and aileron down, wing up. So it depends like that. That is the action once you apply to a pilot. When he applies the aileron up, right aileron up, the right wing goes down. If the left aileron down, left wing goes up. So therefore, ailerons from the part of the wing and located in the trailing edge of the wing towards the tips, the control stick is moved by the means of wires or hydraulics of the wings ailerons by turning the stick. We had called it a stick fixed and a stick fixed, or a neutral stick fixed and stick free condition. We will study in the flight mechanics when you are studying about stability. We have ailerons are controlled by the stick. The pilot will control the ailerons by stick, and the rudders will be controlled by a pedal. In the legs we have a pedal, so that by that the rudders will be controlled. All our elevator and the ailerons will be controlled by a stick movement. Understood. And downward aileron increases the camber, thus decreases the lift, rises the wing. So therefore you can see that it will delays the flow separation where we'll having a good lift. And we can see yawing moment. This is called yawing moment. You can see this is called yawing moment. Please see here, it is called yawing moment. And rudder is a movable control surface attached to the trailing edge of the vertical stabilizer. Foot pedals. So to apply this rudders, we have a pedals, foot pedals in the foot pedals. When you apply that, these we can apply the right left moment, that is called yawing moment. Rudder can also be used as a controlling a bank or turn in flight, and control around the lateral axis. They are called as a elevators, we will call. So these are called as elevators. We can see it's the horizontal tail. We have these elevators. Elevators are the movable control surfaces hinged to the trailing edge to the horizontal stabilizer. The control stick is connected by means of wires or hydraulics to the tail sections. So you can see that when it applies, you can see that it is applying with a, we can see these are called as the elevators, which will use the motion of pitch up and pitch down action to the aircraft. So stabilator or rudder waiters. What is the stabilator and rudder waiters? Rudder plus elevator together is called as a rudder waiter. That is a component. Both the rudder and elevator will be fixed at one. So according, that is called what? Elevator down, tail up. Elevator up, tail down. It is a vice versa action. Elevator down, tail up. Elevator up, tail down. So we have to remember this. So according to this, this is the elevator up. It will be elevator up. It will be tail down portion. If elevator down, if the pilot gives action of elevator down, if it tells elevator down, then the aircraft will go elevator down, will go the tail up, and it will be pitch down condition. Elevator up, pitch up condition. So we have to know about it. Clear? So it's called this is the complete the understanding about the basic aerodynamics and how the control surfaces and how the aerodynamics, how the flow separation, each and everything. In the further, we can look into the airfoil selection. Now you understood what is the airfoil and what are the different parts of the airfoil, and what is stall angle, how the flow separation occurs, and what are the control surfaces. It may be primary control surface, secondary control surfaces, auxiliary group. Correct? So if you have any doubts, let me know. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. In drag force, we are area is there, no, sir. What is that? In drag force, area is there, no, sir.
Any doubts?
Yes, sir. In drag force, we are calculating drag force, no, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
In that area,
Here.
which is that area?
So area is nothing but a what? So we can see that it is a wing area. So what we are speaking about it, half rho v square s into CL. The lift, which is the lifting surface, is what? Wing. Correct? Half rho v square s into CL. Area of the wing we are checking up. And if you are going for a tail, we are going for a tail area. If you are going for a vertical tail, we are going for a vertical tail area. Understood? So that is the area of the wing, or which surface you are going to consider. Understood?
Okay, sir. Then while different aerofoil will be using in one single wing, that time what they will use?
Here, in this, what happens, we will mainly use here at the root, at the tip. Correct? So we will have a series of airfoils. For example, it depends upon which type of aircraft you are going to design. In the airfoil selection and wing geometry, we will discuss clearly that why I need to select this type of airfoil. What is the reason beyond it? Clear? So why we need to use it? Because mainly the wing is a lifting surface, correct? So if I use mainly with in the subsonic aircraft in the olden days, we used to use only subsonic, that may be symmetric airfoils. What is symmetric airfoil? At a zero angle of attack, there will be no lift. Understood? So, but in a cambered, what is happening? You can see the curve at the bottom will come. So at a negative angle of attack also, we have a lift. That is CL versus alpha curve. When you draw, we'll understand. We'll discuss clearly in the airfoil selection and wing geometry. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
We'll discuss it. Why it is, what is the reason beyond it, I will discuss in the further. That is there. That is the next content. And just you know that what is airfoil, what is the content, and how are the control surfaces. You understood? Any doubts?
No, sir.
What are control surfaces, how it is, and what is the stability part? And I will discuss again once again. Just it's the overview of it. You have to understand what is basic aerodynamics. Then only if you go there, it will be worth. Otherwise, it will become difficult to understand. So.
Okay, sir.